Well, good morning again, Converge. I can honestly say I'm so grateful that I got to see my husband and son up on stage worshiping together. That doesn't always get to happen. So I'm really thankful. I might have told Dustin, hey, if you're going to make me teach, Steve has been saying he needs a week off. I'm going to make you lead worship. So I'm thankful that that's how we get to start our morning. And today, obviously, we're going to be talking about gratitude. Is that me? Okay. I can tell you that normally I like to have a message that has like 3 really cute points, and they're all alliteration, and they're going to sound cute. And Ed, the kick goes like this. So it'll normally have that in there. And when I really started thinking about gratitude, I just started to scrap all. Am I doing something wrong with this? No? Okay, great. Oh, I am doing something wrong. What am I doing wrong? Okay, you have to say that. Here? Oh, no, don't do that. Okay. And so today, what I really want to talk about, obviously, is gratitude. And I know, cliche, it is the week of Thanksgiving. Let's talk about gratitude. But hopefully, we can just have a few points to just have our hearts reflect on what it means to truly be grateful for what we have. I genuinely believe that if we don't remember where we've came from, it's really hard to be grateful for where we're going to. And so some of the stories I'm going to tell you today are kind of origin stories. They're kind of origin stories from my life and things that have happened because it's the reason I really want to be grateful today because I know where I've come from. And so I'm actually going to start off with something. We had children young, and we got married young, and Dustin and I were dreamers, and the world was our oyster, and we were 20, and we had dated for 6 months, so why not get married and drop out of college? We were so smart. And then we were planning on waiting about 5 years to have kids, and 5 months in, I took not 1, not 2, but 7 pregnancy tests because there was no way. And Ty came very quickly after. And so life was changing for us. It wasn't going to be these huge, big dreams. One of us had to keep the children alive. And we were definitely on a fixed budget. So I don't know if any of you have ever lived or today live, because groceries are dumb, where you were on a fixed budget. And so it was like a Thursday night, I think it was. Ty, maybe the kids were 2 and 3 and 5 and 6, maybe, I don't know. But they were young. And Dustin was coming home, and I was going, I don't know what I'm making for dinner. I don't have a lot of options. I had pasta, I had a block of cheese, and I had some spices. And there was not a whole lot else. There wasn't even butter. And so I was like, I can do this. I'm so smart. And so I made the pasta. I shredded the cheese. I put the pasta back in the dish when it was still hot, added all the shredded cheese in so it would melt and be great. And then I was like, here's Italian seasoning. Here's garlic powder. Here's some salt and pepper. And I was like, I can make this work for dinner, right? And so we're at the table and we're eating dinner. And my whole family was like, this is the best thing ever. And Dustin's like, what's the recipe? I'm like, oh, it's pasta's surprise. And to this day, Ty will probably nod his head. When my kids come home and they want comfort food, they ask me for pasta surprise. Now, granted, I have much more in my fridge these days. But it was something that I could be grateful for because I only had so much, and I had to make something out of it. And so, church, today, I just hope that we leave with hearts that remember why we need to be grateful and with postures that want and choose to be grateful. So this is the truth I want to begin with. 1, it'll be on the slide. Gratitude, it's a heart issue for everyone. So sorry to tell you, but it is. If we cannot be grateful when things are imperfect, we will never be grateful when things are perfect, because gratitude has never been about our circumstances. It's always been a heart issue. And I can tell you, if you're in this room, if you are married or if you are single, if you are younger or if you are older, if you are parents or you are not, if you are working, if you are retired, or if you are in a transition, or if you are in a season of abundance or a season of struggle, guess what? One of you fits into those categories. Gratitude is a heart issue for us. And I want it to be the posture that we bring into this next holiday season. So this is the thing. Gratitude is not a feeling. It can feel great when we're really thankful. But gratitude, many times, it's not even a personality trait. It has to be a choice that we make, and it has to be us seeing who God is, who he has made us to be, and who he's making us to be, and who he will continue to make us to be. I adore Karen Lamar. She is sitting in the back. And so, yes, please, thank you. Karen, we're getting claps. I love this. I adore her. But I'm sure some of you have heard the term, she's a Karen. It does not apply to our Karen Lamar at all. Because if I were saying she's a Karen and I met Karen Lamar, you're welcome. I just gave you a compliment. But mostly, when you're saying she's a Karen, it's because that Karen is thinking about, I don't like this, and this is why, and I'm going to tell you. I want it this way, and this is why, and I want to tell you. My opinion matters more than yours, and this is why, and I'm going to tell you. Me, 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 me. Anytime we have an attitude of that, we're not being grateful. And I can tell you, life is not perfect. We're going to talk through some of those things again today. However, when we come with gratitude first, we never sound like anyone other than Karen Lamar. Karen. We never sound like it's all about me. And I want us to think of that. We can have hard conversations that are not perfect, that are not easy, that are not the best. However, if we come with a sense of gratefulness and thankfulness, I guarantee you the conversation will end differently. I want to read some verses to you. This is going to be 1 Thessalonians 5, 16 through 18. It'll be on the screen too. Rejoice always. Pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. And I want you to see it's not for all circumstances. We don't have to be thankful and grateful for all circumstances, but we want to be grateful and thankful in them. And hear me also say, gratitude is not pretending that we are good. If you know me, if you've ever talked to my family, they know the higher pitch my voice goes, the more stressed and worried I am, and the less perfect everything is becoming. And that's because some of our situations, we don't have to be grateful for them, but we need to be grateful in them. Because if we change that mindset, we can still have a heart and a posture that shows that. Philippians 4, 11 through 13 says, I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. Contentment is learned, which means it must be practiced by everyone. We don't learn something if we never practice it, if we don't study it, and we don't make an effort to remember it. For those of you who know my Ty, you know he loves guitar, and he has been in all sorts of guitar, Spanish and classical, and I think at one time we bought him a Baroque guitar. Don't even know what it is, but he was really excited about it. And he had a recital for college, and he would play this same song for months. And it was very pretty, but he played it for a very, very, very long time, and I love it. To this day, I can wake up sometimes still singing it. But he played it so much because he even told me this, he needed his fingers to have the muscle memory because it was so quick and so fast at one point, he needed to practice it over and over and over again. We don't just get a grateful heart because we're like, let's be grateful today. There's practice involved. If you know Ty again, he wanted to build guitar pedals, and I was like, do you know electrical engineering? He's like, nope, but I'm going to learn it. And he did, right? And so he is a student. If we are not a student of what it means to have a grateful heart, we will never learn it because we're going to think that it just happens. And let's be honest, our own hearts were not made to always be grateful. Our society does not usually lead with gratefulness. Things that are happening in our life, we don't see grateful as a key point, and we really want to make it that. I want some definitions for us for the church of gratitude, okay? Gratitude is the practice of noticing God's goodness. Noticing it means calling it out and naming it. Don't just keep it inside, make sure you say it. Gratitude is the discipline of remembering what God has already done. It anchors us to God's faithfulness. Gratitude is an act of worship before it is an emotion. You can worship grateful long before you feel grateful. It can be a choice, and the right next steps can follow. Gratitude is choosing to see God's provision instead of life's lack. I am going to tell you all a little story. It's called the Carlisle home. So again, when Dustin and I were first married, we were young, we were 20. We bought our first house, and to say it was a fixer would be just the understatement of the world. I will tell you, our first mortgage for a full basement, kitchen, full fenced-in backyard, 2 ginormous bedrooms, a full family room, full dining room, 2 bathrooms, and a full front porch. Was it $540? Yeah. But let me tell you why. When we walked into the house and we walked towards the kitchen, we had to stop because you could see the basement and the bathroom upstairs. And the back wall had this beautiful, lumpy pattern because pipes had frozen during the year and water had leaked out the whole backside of the house. That was getting fixed by a contractor, thank the Lord. However, someone in this old home decided to put 13 layers of purple and mauve paint over wood pillars. Yeah, it was real cute. Does anyone know what the orange Goo Gone stuff is? So I didn't know I was pregnant. I, to this day, cannot smell fake orange anything because of how much of that stuff I use to scrape off wallpaper and paint. That house had, have any of you been to Santa Cruz? Have you seen the banana slugs? Imagine those just gray and grosser. I like to call them radioactive alien slugs. They were in our basement in our laundry room because they would come up through the drain. Now, mind you, can a slug chase me? No, I'm aware. Is it poisonous? No, also aware. But I had this fear that when I walked in to do laundry, one would just fall from the ceiling on my face. I don't even think they go on the ceiling, but it was my fear, right? So there was radioactive slugs in the basement. That eventually became our bedroom, which was still... because of the lack of insulation in the house during the winter, which it got like negative freezing in Ohio, we had to turn just a drop on of all of our faucets so that the pipes didn't freeze. And then we had space heaters underneath the cabinets to try to keep the pipes warm. Then one time, I think Dustin even talked about this last week, he went to Africa on like a great mission trip. So good for him. We had an ice storm and didn't have power for 4 days. In the middle of an ice storm. So I had both kids and a boxer and me while he was in Africa and I couldn't talk to him. Then when you walked into the house, like this, I'm making this sound horrible. I promise you I'm getting to a point. When you walked into the house, the ceiling in the main room never was even. It was plaster walls, so it always had some bumps, right? And it always looked like it could cave in at any time. That was the house. Can I tell you something? I love that house. Every time Dustin would go away with his band, I would take anything that I had and go to the thrift store and buy curtains and paint, and he would always come home and something would be totally different. And I worked so hard to make that house beautiful and ours. And that house kept my babies warm. And that house housed Christmas. And that house housed magic. And Ty and Maddie and I would make forts in the family room probably twice a week. And we'd watch movies and we'd pop popcorn. And that house meant so much to me. That is our origin story. It's the birthplace of us. I remember Dustin and I were sitting on the front porch one night. I had not even had my big girl job yet, right? And so we were sitting there, and I remember we looked at each other, and we were in these Adirondack chairs that had been passed down from his grandma to his mom, to his aunt, and to us, and 2 of them were lopsided, and we were sitting on them with a pillow, and I remember we both said, if this is it, man, I'm so happy. And I remember, I also forgot to tell you, you turned on the shower by Vice Crips. It was real cute. And so I remember when we were getting ready, and I had gotten my big girl job, and we were going to move. And we just weren't moving to, a little bit of an upgrade. We were moving to a loft in this beautiful city with a cupcake shop under us, and it had, heated floors, and everything was perfect. And I remember my brother said, you will never be happier than when you were here. He was right. We chase after things that are so big and so much and so better. But when we actually don't have as much, we're thankful for the little. And I got my first corporate job. I know he was right. And listen, I remember the gratefulness I had because I didn't have much. And I want us to think about that now, especially in a society that teaches you all you need is more. Think about what you have right now and what that really truly means. Because I think some of our happiest seasons were not when we had the best things. It was when we were the most grateful for anything that we had. I've also learned since then that gratitude doesn't begin with perfection. It makes imperfection holy ground. What do I mean by that? We have friends, Jason and Carrie. Jason actually moved from Ohio. He plays in Dustin's band. And they were so excited that they were going to have a baby, like so excited. And they are still so excited that they have that baby. But that baby has colic. And that baby has her nights and her days mixed up. And I will also tell you that baby has never cried when Dustin and I have held her, just saying. But that baby isn't perfect. And life right now is not all perfect for them. However, they're going to be so thankful for these days. Empty nesters, Dustin and I are even realizing, we think it's like this great thing, and then we sit there at night and we're like, so what do you want to do? Does anyone have a problem that they need us to fix? You know, like, it's a new challenge. It's a new type of thing. It's beautiful, but it's not perfect. There are some of us probably in this room that might be starting over. There are some of us in this room that might be grieving. Some of us in this room that might be rebuilding. Some succeeding, some struggling. Some of us might be praying for breakthrough, but no matter where you are, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to have a spirit of gratitude, and that's what makes it holy ground. I was actually remembering this, and I added this in this morning because I kind of chuckled to myself, and it was just a great memory. You all know this, am a recovering people pleaser and a recovering perfectionist. I think I'm actually doing better about the people-pleasing thing. I'm still not really great about the perfectionism thing. But perfect usually aren't the memories we remember, right? Perfect is not radioactive slugs. And my dad and I, when my parents first got divorced, we were having our first Thanksgiving. And my dad bought an air fryer. And back then, like, they weren't really popular. So he was going to make this, not air fryer. What is it that you, like, fry a turkey in? It has a hook. You know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. Promise I'm good in the kitchen. So he bought one, and he was cooking it. And we were going to have people over. Cardboard doesn't even begin to describe what happened to that turkey. Like, it was turkey jerky that had splinters in it. And we ordered Chinese food. To this day, it is one of my most favorite Thanksgivings. We laid newspaper out on the table. We had Chinese food. My brother and his friends all came over. We laughed a ton. It wasn't perfect. But man, it's the one that I remember the most. And it's the one I'm probably the most thankful for. I want to read 2 more verses for you. In Luke 12:15, it says, life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. And then again in Ecclesiastes 5:10, it says, whoever loves money never has enough. And it's like what we talked about earlier. You get the promotion, you want the next one. You get the house, you want the upgrade. You get the relationship, you wish they were a little different. You get the answer to prayer, and then somehow the goalpost moves again. If our gratitude depends on our next thing, we will never have enough things to be grateful. I want to say that again. If gratitude depends on the next thing, we will never have enough things to live grateful. Much like tied to our prayer series that Dustin actually just finished and I loved, we have been learning to pray big prayers. We've been believing God for miracles, for breakthrough, and big moves of God. But spiritual maturity is not only praying big prayers, it's being grateful in small daily mercies. And there's going to be another verse on the slide for you, and it's Colossians 4:2. And it says, devote yourselves to prayer, being watchful and thankful. Gratitude keeps you awake to God. And what I would like to say even in that is it prevents spiritual numbness, and it keeps the heart soft. And when our heart is hardened, it's really hard to be grateful. And the softer that our heart is, the easier it is to be grateful. In Psalm 104, it says, enter his gates with thanksgiving, his courts with praise. And the reason that this is so powerful for every believer is because we do not enter God's presence through perfection. We enter through thanksgiving. And when we have a grateful heart, it truly is our worship. And gratitude puts God back exactly where he belongs in his rightful place as the giver of every good thing. I think that whenever we have a message, it's always great to have some practical things, because it's nice to go, well, Jess, I'm really glad you're grateful you don't live with radioactive slugs anymore. Me too. I'm really glad you don't start your shower with vice grips. Me too, right? But sometimes it's like, but today, I might not be in the happiest place. And today, I might be struggling. And today, it might be frustrating. So what are some practical things for us? Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked. Number 1, notice one good thing every morning, the first thing you do when you get out of bed. One good thing. Don't get your phone first. I'm horrible for that, so if no one else, I'm speaking to myself. One good thing before you wake up. And I would also say one good thing before you go to bed. This has been a newer practice of mine, but I've been trying to start this, literally within the last, few weeks. So I'm, not an expert at this at all. But I set my alarm. I make sure I have my calendar set up for, what's happening tomorrow, because tell me you're a control freak without telling me you're a control freak. So I make sure everything's ready to go, right? But then I put my phone down, and I turn it off so I don't even see the brightness, turn off the light. And I just say that I'm thankful for one thing. And then normally, whatever that thing is, especially if it's a person, I'll say a prayer. Hey, thank you for, actually, last night was my brother. Things that he's just been so thoughtful, and we've had such good conversations. I just so appreciate the relationship we have, especially when you look at some family dynamics, even in our own family dynamic. He's been such a great friend. Guess what I did this morning when I woke up? I was still thankful for him, and I texted him that I was thankful for him. And then on the way here, he was like, I really needed to hear that, right? It starts a domino effect. But every morning, before you hit your phone, before you hit anything, one thing you're thankful for. I am so thankful that I'm going to have a cup of coffee. Oh, yes, I love it. I am so thankful that the sun is shining because daylight saving times, listen, how much are we really saving? But in the morning, it's bright, right? I am thankful that even though my knees feel weird when I get out of bed because I'm over 40, I can still walk, it can be the littlest thing or it can be a big thing, but one thing in the morning and one thing at night. Gratitude sharpens our spiritual eyesight. Number 2. Speak gratitude out loud. Don't keep it to yourself. I don't even care if you're saying it to yourself. I speak gratitude to myself in my car all the time, and then I hope people driving by think I'm just talking on the phone, because if not, I look weird. But speak it out loud. Speak it to your friends. Speak it to your family. Have a group text where once a day you go and remind each other, hey, I'm thankful for this thing today. Do something that makes it be out loud and outside of yourself so people can hear it, because gratitude unspoken becomes gratitude forgotten. Thank God even before circumstances change, so you can say, thank you, Lord, even now. I might not love this, but I can still be thankful and grateful in it. Remember where God brought you from. Everyone here probably has a Carlisle house story, something you can remember of where you were. Maybe it wasn't your best time. Maybe it wasn't your best moments. Maybe it was in a really hard, struggling time. Maybe it was financial struggle, relational struggle, so many different types. Everyone has a story you can look back to, but remember where you've already come from. And then 5, turn your complaints into conversations with God, because gratitude redirects the heart towards Him. I want us to remember that a church that remembers become a church that worships through gratitude. It's going to be on the slide. And Karen, you can actually just leave this slide up. We are going to go into a time of worship again here pretty soon. But if we remember, it's so much easier for us to worship because we can be thankful even with where we're at right now. I want to read these few points to you. Gratitude won't fix everything around you, but I promise you it can change everything in you. Gratitude won't change your circumstances, but it will absolutely change your spirit and how you're thinking. Gratitude turns a house with vice grips and radioactive slugs into a sanctuary. Gratitude turns storms into stories of God's protection. Gratitude turns daily life into worship. Gratitude opens our eyes to the God who has been good, who is good, and who always will be good. I'm actually going to have the band come up now, but I have a story to tell you while they're getting up here. We were actually just in San Francisco yesterday with our daughter. Yes, she is coming home in 3 days. Yes, she is homesick for her mom and dad. Yes, we took a train and a ferry to get to her. We went to visit her yesterday, and for those of you that might know her, she is super into fashion design, and she is in the process of applying for her first round of Project Runway. Listen, you can scream, most contestants apply 15 to 20 times. So it's the first one. She is very young. But she had to interview people who know her and love her. And so she was asking us, what do you think about me? What are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? Of course, Dustin said, baby girl, you have no weaknesses. Like a good dad. I was like, you're a perfectionist, like your mom. You're controlling, like your mom. So all of her weaknesses were mine. I should work on that. But we were telling her things about herself. Like she's bright and she's vivacious and she's fun and she's creative. And Dustin said, oh, baby girl, you are a thermostat. You've never been a thermometer. And Maddie said, huh? Now, you also, sidebar about Maddie, have to know this. Maddie cannot get a saying right to save her life. We will sometimes say, an old saying that Dustin's papa used to say is, well, even a blind squirrel finds a nut. Maddie goes, well, blind nuts. That's, like, she never gets the saying right, like, ever. And so I was like, you're probably going to get this wrong, but let's explain it. So Dustin started explaining it to her. A thermometer is affected by the room. Whatever temperature the room is, the thermometer will just read to you what the temperature is. You can try to make it colder, you could try to make it hotter, but it's just going to read you what the actual temperature is. A thermostat, however, sets the tone for the room. You set that thermostat to 68, it's going to make it a little chilly so you can sleep great at night with an extra blanket. If you need some warmth, you turn it up, and the thermostat makes it warmer for you. It sets the tone. It doesn't just read it. It sometimes even changes the tone. So he was telling Maddie, you're a thermostat. When you walk in a room, you can set the tone. You can set the liveliness. You can set the energy in the room. And when he said that to her yesterday, I laughed because I actually already had it in my message for today. We can be thermostats of gratitude to every room that we walk into, every place that we go, every situation that we're in. Or we can be thermometers who are just waiting for someone else to make us feel grateful or thankful. It's not going to work that great. I want us to say a few things here at the very end that I wrote down. What if we were known for our thankfulness and our gratefulness? What if we walked into a room and we changed the temperature just because our hearts are noticeably different and brighter and happier and calmer and sweeter? What if our lives were truly a reflection of how thankful our hearts were? What would our lives look like? What would the ripple effect of the lives of those around us look like? What if we truly opened our hearts and our hands, being ready for whatever comes our way? Because we know that God is faithful, He is good, He has a plan for us. Goodness, He's already brought us out of a lot of things, and He's going to take us into so many more new things. But if we do it with a true spirit and heart of gratefulness, I think we're going to really, really enjoy it that much more. And I know we're really going to enjoy being around each other that much more. And I know that would give us that much more of an opportunity to at least change the temperature and the feeling of especially this room and everyone else that we have the chance to be in contact with. Will you pray with me? Dear Heavenly Father, just thank you for who you are. God, thank you for just the reminder of what we can be grateful for, what we've come out of, what you've brought us through, what you're going to bring us through. God, thank you for just reminding us you don't want our perfection. You don't need it to be absolutely everything's in a row and everything's great before you're going to love us. You love us regardless. And God, I pray that we would go into this week no matter what we're looking at. We might be going into an amazing week filled with family and friends and laughter and so many good things. We might be going into a really hard week. We might be going into a really lonely week. We might be going into a week that we just don't know even how to put one foot in front of the other. But God, I know that if we go into it, no matter what our circumstances are, if we choose to be grateful for who you are, for how you love us, and for what you're going to do in and through us, I know that it'll definitely change our spirit. It'll definitely change our mindset. And we'll be able to worship you more fully and beautifully in that. In Jesus' name, amen.